No, yo tengo miedo. Ya me voy. Y después arranco final. Escuchar algo aquí. Pero listen something. Yeah. Ah, no, really.
I'll have to, yeah.
Good. So fun. No, too. Something is slow.
Yeah.
I'm working.
Okay, has everybody got food? Everybody got a handout? Set of handouts? You ready? Okay, are you scared? Good. All right. I'm Fred Forgy, Director of the Master of Science and Real Estate Development Program. Obviously, I think you probably have already met Dr. Wurzer. If you've had him for class this morning, and if you haven't, well, you'll probably have him for class this afternoon. So the purpose of today's little session is really just to kind of introduce you to a few things that are unique to our program and kind of answer a few questions. And since we don't have a quote-unquote formal orientation, this is as close as it gets. So in terms of kind of going through some of the details and kind of trying to help you familiarize yourself with some of the features of the program. So what I'm going to do, just go through a number of different things and then kind of walk you through some of the different things that affiliated with our program and hopefully answer the questions that you've got so that hopefully you will be more informed. Okay, so we'll start out with this first little handout. It's the one that's numbered from 1 to 14. Okay, it does not correspond to the numbers up here on the board. We'll get to that in a few minutes. So the very first thing that usually people want to talk about are our study tours. And the study tour that we took last year was a week-long trip to Cuba aboard a cruise ship through Fathom Cruises. And so we spent about a week in Cuba touring around a variety of different sites. And instead of it really being as focused on real estate as I would have liked, it was a bit more focused on entrepreneurship. Well, this year, that same, or not the same cruise, but a slightly different one, where we're going to be spending a couple of days in Havana and then one day in the Bahamas. We're going to do that from December the 11th to the 15th. But we're also going to have a much more real estate focused study tour that we're going to do March the 5th through the 9th. Okay, so you're going to have the option of doing one or the other. Now, one of the first questions that folks ask, what's the cost? So, because it's to Cuba, and because it's the Norwegian Cruise Lines, which is a little bit of a higher level cruise line, the cost of that one is, this year, it looks like it's about total price, $1,125. So $1,125. Now what we're going to do is we're going to subsidize part of that cost, okay? So what we will be doing is we'll be subsidizing you're going to put down $500 if you want to go, and then everything else will be subsidized, okay? So basically, you're going to be out of pocket $500, and then the remaining cost, I believe, then will be $625, okay, if you choose to do the Cuba trip, okay? If you choose not to do the Cuba trip, and you choose to do the trip in March, that handout is on the back of the schedule. We've got 5 different cruises we can choose from to different locations in the Caribbean where we'll focus on sustainability, resort development, and a number of other sort of environmental sort of focused study. And so we're going to pick one of these 5 cruises, and the cost of this cruise, as you can see, varies from $299 all the way to $674. Now if you choose this option, it's going to be fully subsidized, okay? Meaning you're not going to have any out-of-pocket cost, okay? Does that make sense to everybody, yes or no? Okay, so if you do the Cuba trip, you're out of pocket $500. If you do the trip in March, it's all inclusive, okay? Everybody follow? Now, if you do both, then you're going to have to pay full cost for one, okay? Does that make sense? Okay? All right, now, let's kind of, and we'll deal with questions on that in just a little bit, then kind of get through some of the other things here first. Okay, a couple of other things to mention about the cruise. You're also welcome to potentially, if you've got, a spouse that you want to invite, that's perfectly okay. They've got to pay the full cost. Okay, does that make sense? And the rooms are, double occupancy. All right? All right, moving forward. All right, item number 2, and this is something that every year we sort of get hung up on, and I just kind of want to get it out of the way now. Because these are Saturday classes, and we only have so many Saturdays over the course of the year, we don't necessarily get off the holidays that you think we're going to get off, okay? So specifically, we will be meeting the Saturday after Thanksgiving, okay? Just so that you're aware of that. So if you've got, travel plans or holiday plans, we're going to be in class that Saturday, all right? Same thing goes for Easter weekend. We will be having class the day before Easter, okay? All right, so just make sure that you're aware of that. All right, now, item number 3. Here are the textbooks listed for all the classes for this fall semester. Obviously, I'm sure Dr. Wircher has already given you that information about his courses. My 2 courses, which are the Real Estate Finance course and the Real Estate Financial Modeling courses that begin the second half of the fall semester, the second 8 weeks, it's the same book for both classes, okay? So you buy it once, and my advice would be to buy it online and look for one of the international editions. If you buy the domestic edition, you're probably going to pay over $200 for the textbook. But if you buy the international edition, you probably get it for $50, okay? So take a look around. And you can spend the next 8 weeks kind of searching for it both on Amazon as well as on eBay. All right. Next thing, the financial calculator. For my courses, you will need a financial calculator, and the one that you will need, even if you have something else, is the HP 10B2. Now, I looked today to see specifically how much it's going for on Amazon, and $31.79. Okay. Now, strangely enough, that price vacillates quite a bit. Matter of fact, the last time I printed this, and I think I sent it to you in an email over the summer, the price was $24. Okay, so it's one of those things that just based on demand, it goes up and it goes down. I've seen it as low as like $19 and as high as $50. Okay, so just take a look. All right, obviously you do need a laptop, and all you really need to have installed on that laptop, at least for my courses, is Microsoft Excel and PowerPoint and Word. Okay, doesn't matter whether it's a Mac or PC. As far as my courses are concerned, either is fine. Now, obviously for Dr. Wircher's classes, with some of the software that he's running, it's probably going to be preferred that it's a PC. Okay.
Not running on Mac, unless you emulate JS on it. Argus, not running on Mac.
Right.
eProfiler, not running on Mac.
Yep.
All the software will be available in 1040 in the library.
Yeah, and that's one of the things we want to stress is we purposely put all of the software packages that we're going to be using in the lab over in the library, and we have, Dr. Wircher, set up additional times during the week and the evenings, so those labs will be, or that particular lab will be available, and so that if you don't have a PC or you have a Mac, then you can go over there and use the software there.
Those times will, by system, how this room reservation system works, will probably change by class per semester. Right now, Open Lab, using all our software we use, is Tuesdays 4 till 6 and 6 till 8, with office hours 6 till 8 with me, and then Thursdays and Fridays 6 till 8 as well. These are fully installed classroom computers, so all the Excel software he's using is there too.
And both of my classes, just so that you know, in the second 8 weeks will be both housed over there, not here in this room, okay? So our classes, for the most part, are either going to be in this room or they're going to be over there, but this term, for the language planning class, you're using this room, but all the other classes will be over there for this term. Okay, moving on. one of the things that you will be developing over the course of the program, but you will be putting it all together at the very end, is your electronic portfolio, okay? And you can go to this website, wix.com, to get an idea of what an electronic portfolio looks like if you haven't seen one or done one before. Now, what you should be doing in preparation for this portfolio is that in each of your courses that you're taking throughout the program, you should be setting aside at least one artifact or one project, paper, presentation, something that is evidence of your work that you will then put into this e-portfolio. In other words, think of it like this. It's an opportunity for you to show a prospective employer, to show a prospective student in our program, to show others within the program, to show the faculty, to show everyone what your work is, what you're capable of. Does that make sense? Okay? And the idea behind it is an electronic resume. So in addition to having examples of your work, you're also going to have the information there about your work background and so forth. And then you're also going to compose typically about a 2 to 3 minute video of yourself talking about your own sort of career interest and ambitions and that sort of thing. And it's a great way to once again, help to begin to market yourself. Okay? Does that make sense? All right? Now, all you really have to do now is just, as I said, start thinking about the items you're going to be setting aside. And this also, it's one of those sorts of things that as you're going through the courses, you obviously want to do the very best quality work that you can do, especially if you're going to be putting it out there for everybody to see. Okay? Because you really want this to be a demonstration of what you're capable of. Does that make sense? Okay? All right, moving forward. Item number 7. Most all of our classes are videotaped or video recorded and placed on YouTube typically by the end of the day that the class occurs. Okay? And all of this is available online for anyone to see. Okay? It's not password protected or anything like that. All you actually have to do is go to youtube.com, type in MSRED space REE, and it will pretty much pull up our channel, which I think now has 700 or 800 videos on it. Okay? And going back 2 or 3 years of virtually all of our courses. Okay? So it's a great way for if you miss class for whatever reason, you're late to class for whatever reason, you have to leave early for whatever reason, or you just weren't awake during class, to be able to go back and kind of review what took place. Okay, does that make sense? All right? But it's not meant to be a situation of where, oh, well, I really don't feel like going to class, so I'm just going to watch the video. That's not what it's intended for. Okay? All right. Moving on. Item number 8, information about the mentorship program. So one of the handouts that I gave you, specifically this one entitled Executive Mentorship Program, we have done a substantial revision to this program. And the way that it works is after you have completed the first 8 weeks of courses, in other words, after you've completed the first 2 courses, the GIS course and land use planning course, and you have a grade or a GPA higher than a 3.0, then you are eligible for the mentorship program. That means you're a student in good standing. If you don't achieve a 3.0, then you are not eligible for the mentorship program until you achieve the 3.0. Is everyone clear with that? All right. Now, the way the mentorship program works is that I'll be asking you to give me a list of 3 people from our advisory board, which is on our website, and your top 3 choices, and then I will go through and sort of see who picked who, and then ultimately assign you to a mentor. You'll get in touch with that mentor and then sort of follow the process that's in this document. Now, the idea behind the mentorship program is that these folks are not meant to help you, in essence, find a job. I mean, that can be part of it, but the idea is for them to give you advice, okay, to give you counsel as to what you should be thinking about. You know, maybe the kinds of people that maybe you should be going out to meet, and helping you maybe with some of those introductions to those people, okay? But there's a very defined set of criteria that you're to sort of follow during this mentorship program, okay? This is not a situation where you go to these folks and say, hey, I want a job. That's not the idea behind it, okay? So make sure that you follow the guidelines, and as I said, we'll be setting that up at the end of this first 8 weeks, so around middle of October, okay? Yep.
You had a mentor last year, will you keep the same?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, item number 9. RJ Klein, where is he? Okay, there he is, right there. RJ is our new recruiter and graduate assistant for the MSRED program. Now, his role, for the most part, is going to be helping out with a lot of the administrative functions and kind of helping me, helping Dr. Wurtzer and others to try to make sure that we're able to do everything we can to best serve you as the students in the program, okay? So always feel welcome to come to me, always feel welcome to come to Dr. Wurtzer, but also feel welcome to go to RJ and certainly you know, reach out to him and get to know him. All right, number 10, grades. Some of these things I'm mentioning because invariably people aren't aware of this, and so that's why I'm kind of going through some of these things. So one of the things that you must do in this program, and this is throughout the College of Business, you must maintain a 3.0 GPA. Now that means while you can get grades lower than a B, in other words a B minus, a C plus, and a C, you've got to have a 3.0 and keep a 3.0 to stay in the program, okay? If you dip below a 3.0, you're going to be put on probation, and then there's a whole other set of things that begin to happen in terms of the length of time that you may have to sit out in the program and not take classes, and you really don't want to go down that road, okay? So do what you can to try to maintain your grades at above a 3.0. Now keeping in mind, a B is not the same as a B minus. A B is a 3.0. A B minus is a 2.7, okay? So you need to be striving to get, obviously, something greater than a B. And I will tell you, both myself, Dr. Wurtzer, and all of the other faculty in the program, there are a good number of people who do not earn a letter grade of B. This is not a sort of program where we pat you on the back and send you down the road in terms of grades, okay? You earn the grades that you receive, okay? So that's not to say that you're not going to be able to get an A minus, a B plus, or a B, but you're going to have to work, okay, to be able to achieve those grades. All right, plagiarism, number 11. This is a big issue. We have had a number of instances over the past 4 years that I've been here where people, for whatever reason, choose to cut and paste things, you know, from online or from a variety of different sources, even choose to try to plagiarize spreadsheets, to use somebody else's spreadsheet as their own. 90% of the time, I would say we probably catch these situations. We're not necessarily looking for these situations, but we catch them. And when we do, that person receives an F, typically on that assignment, or an F in the class, or if it happens more than once, they're kicked out of the program. And we've had several instances of this. So don't plagiarize, okay? And Dr. Wurtzer can probably give you much more detail on that, you know, as it relates to his course and some of the issues there.
This is the no fun zone I have. Folks, you heard the story this morning. You will hear it this afternoon again. I don't care if you're sitting in the GS class, you will hear the story again. It's heartbreaking to see a student fail because of that sloppiness. Because usually you start panicking and try to find an easy way out. I had a student last spring plagiarizing himself, using a seminar paper submitted to another class in this program and copy and pasting text from the other assignment into mine. Not a cool idea. Hell freezes over and it's ice cold.
Okay, item number 12. Syllabi for all the classes are typically distributed via email 1 week prior to the first day of class. So just so that you're sort of aware of that. Now that's assuming that you're registered a good full week before the class. So if you're not registered for a class, you're not going to receive the syllabus, okay? All right, and one of the things that I want to mention, item number 13, one of the absolute best publications and sources for commercial real estate is the South Florida Business Journal, okay? Every instructor kind of has their favorite publication for a variety of reasons, But this one, if you're looking for really good, up-to-the-date information about what's going on with commercial real estate in South Florida, this is the place to get it. They have an online version as well as the paper version. I would highly, highly, highly suggest that you take a look at getting a subscription to it. Now, one of the things that actually I pulled from that, just to kind of show you what I'm sort of talking about, this other handout, one of the things that they publish at least once a year is a book of lists. And within this book of lists, they have, like the top 20 firms in, for a variety of different industries. Well, what I printed out for you were some of the ones that were more germane to, obviously, commercial real estate development. So what you've got here are the top commercial real estate developers in South Florida, top home builders, condominium developers, commercial mortgage lenders and brokers, commercial real estate brokerages, and commercial property management firms. Now, the reason I printed this out is, folks always come to me and they ask, okay, so, who are the firms that we should be shooting for with regard to employment? This is a great list to start with, okay? It's got, obviously, the name of the firm, it's got their website, so, this is a great starting point as you begin to think about internships, as you begin to think about employment opportunities. That's a great source to sort of begin with and take a look at, okay? And then the last item on this list is the fall 2017 events. Now, one of the things, RJ, I think you've already done this. Have you already sent them a list?
No, I
okay.
Expect it come Wednesday.
Okay. So RJ is going to be sending you a list of a variety of different events throughout South Florida that just to make you aware of these events, and some of them are free, some of them you've got to pay for, but it's a great way for you to begin sort of the networking and kind of connection building sort of experience.
The membership for ULI and ICSC is not required? No?
Okay. Once again, the events, the one that's coming up this week on August the 31st on Thursday, this is going to be our kind of our kickoff event for the program for this year, but more specifically, this is the results from the SIOR, Society of Industrial and Office Realtors competition that we had this past semester dealing with the Everglades Airport. And so the students, the different student teams are going to be rewarded, and presentations are going to be made of scholarship money and a number of guest speakers about this. So you want to say anything more about that?
Well, we have the opportunity, not for all of them, but for some of our classes to have real-world examples as a class project. And we got for this type of class last spring actually a short notice $500 million investment project to work on and put that into the class schedule. And the important part was that it added actually a complex level of education to the students with the opportunity to compete about external prize money. I think it was $10,000 total that will be awarded next week. And huge piece on your resume, because that is making regional, if not national news. And I try to bring in applied projects like this. This class is not having a perfect applied project this time. Timing didn't work out. It's hard to find community partners and aligning the class
but we
schedule.
will be having that in the spring with the Development 1 and Development 2 class.
Yeah, we will have another partner there.
Yep.
So
the NAIOP competition.
And for the August class in January, I push the idea of being or setting up the national competition. So it's a fast track class that's in the works. So we're actually competing with all other real estate programs on that software.
Okay. Okay, the next event, the ULI Vision Awards. This is on Thursday, September the 17th. 17 of you have already signed up for that, and that was our limit. So we're already fully stocked for that award ceremony. October the 14th is what we try to do at the end of each of these 8-week sessions is at the end of the day, at the end of that class, then we go over and have some beverages and food, and so it's a time for everybody to kind of decompress, that sort of thing. So that's going to be obviously on October the 14th, and then we'll have another one of those on December the 9th after the second 8 weeks. But then in between those two, on October the 18th, we'll have our large annual MSRED networking event. This will be done in downtown at YOLO, where we invite our alumni, we invite industry leaders, we invite our mentors, And last year we had about 100 people, okay? So it's a good event, great, sort of networking opportunities. Okay, I know I'm kind of going through this pretty quickly, and I know that some of this is not all that fun, but I want to get through it so I feel as though I got it out of the way. Okay, now the items on the board. One of the things that we need to sort of think about, sort of why we're doing this. In other words, in trying to be as serious about this program as we possibly can, and some of the things that I want to really stress the importance of. Number one, emails, okay? The NOVA email address that you have is the only way we have to contact you officially about course information. So what you need to do, if you have not already, is get that email address synced up to your phone or tablet or computer so that email is coming in automatically, okay? And that is the official means of communication. Now, one thing I will say about this that we've had issues with in the past is sometimes the emails that we send will show up in the junk folder, or it will show up in what's the other one, the spam folder. So make sure that you review all of the folders constantly to make sure that nothing has come in that you did not see, okay? But that is the only way that we've gotten, and we would prefer not to be using any of your personal email addresses because we don't have consistent access to those, okay? All we have consistent access to is your NOVA email address, okay? So I cannot stress that enough. So simply saying, well, I didn't look at my NOVA email address this week, that's not a good excuse, okay? You need to be looking at that constantly. Extremely important that obviously you're on time to all the classes. If you're like myself, I like to start precisely at the time that we're supposed to start. So if the class starts at 8 o'clock in the morning, I'm starting at 8 o'clock in the morning, okay? Not at 8:15. Same sort of thing applies to assignments. I'm sure Dr. Werther can, offer up some insight about this, but, it's extremely important that if the deadline is 5 p.m., the deadline is 5 p.m. It's not 5:01, it's not 5:05, it's 5 o'clock, okay? You want to say anything to that?
SIA award competition, the competition we mentioned with the outside client, $10,000 award money. One team did not submit on time. The judges disqualified the team to be rewarded in the awards. Got a full grade on it, got a full work on it, but the team was an hour late. And one of the judges is the county administrator of Henry County. He said this is a non-confirming bid. If that would be a contractor asking for infrastructure project with us, 5 minutes late would be 5 minutes late, not considered. Was very hard to recognize that, and I actually supported it. Okay. Don't be late.
Yep.
Not for assignments, not for competitions.
Yep. Okay. Next one is, you would think would be obvious, but try to do what you can to obviously always be respectful of your fellow students, faculty, and the mentors, and the guest speakers. And what I mean by this is, during class, try not to be disruptive, try not to obviously be on your phone, on the computer, surfing the web, that sort of thing. Just try to be respectful of everybody, okay? Keep that in the back of your mind. We already talked about this. Make sure that you're always submitting your own work and you're not plagiarizing the work of others. Extremely important that you do attend all the events that you can, realizing that, yeah, schedule conflicts come up, but we purposely are very conscious about the events that we select, that we try to push you toward, because these are really useful, beneficial events, okay? And this industry is one that does not have what I would call a normal job market. A lot of the jobs come about by virtue of the people that you meet and that you're placed in contact with, okay? So it's exceedingly important that you develop the networking skills as you go through the program and get to know the different folks within the industry, whether those are alumni, whether those are the mentors, guest speakers, whoever, okay? This next one, and this, I guess, it's frustrating for those of us that are faculty that we see some students, and I know this sounds negative, but we do. We have some students that we don't really understand why they're here. They're paying all this money to go through a program, they're not showing up to class, they're not turning in assignments, they're not doing the work, and why waste your time doing that? Why waste the money? If that's going to be your attitude, we really don't want you to be part of the program, pure and simple. We want people who want to be here, okay, that are not, simply taking this as a means to an end of you know, getting patted on the back and given a piece of paper. You know, if the piece of paper is worthless unless you're putting the effort in. Okay? So you need to be serious about the degree program. This next one's kind of funny, but it's also very relevant. Readable PowerPoint slides. Every semester that you give presentations, and I know Dr. Wirtzer will agree with me on this, that you need to make sure the fonts on your presentations are readable by someone sitting in the back of the room, especially an older guy like me with bad eyesight, okay? I need to be able to read that font, so it should, those fonts on the screen need to be probably at least this big, okay? Keeping everybody informed. This goes with your instructors, also your team members. For example, if you're not going to be in class, tell us. If you think you're not going to be able to finish an assignment on time, tell us. Don't do after the fact, oh, I wasn't able to get it done, and then expect us to be overly sympathetic. Now, if you tell us beforehand, we've got some sort of an issue, you're sick, you have to go out of town, whatever, we're going to be a lot more understanding than if you come to us after the fact, okay? So keep everybody informed about what's going on. The importance of internships, employment opportunities, mentors. So some of you may not be seeking internships, okay, or new employment. But those of you that are, please contact me and we can start talking about that in terms of what may be available, because we can also set up internships for credit, okay, course credit. And we have a number of firms that contact us each year about wanting to have interns come and work for them. And virtually all these internships are paid internships, okay? So that's something that, you know, if you're looking to make a significant career change, that may be something that you really need to investigate, okay? I already mentioned this, your GPA needs to remain above the 3.0. And then lastly, this whole thing of developing skill sets. The way you should be looking at this program is not simply a collection of classes. You should be looking at it, what are the skill sets that I can be developing and am developing that's going to be of value to someone, okay? Not just yourself, but to a potential business partner or employer, because just getting a piece of paper that says Master of Science in Real Estate Development is not necessarily going to, you know, do much for you other than maybe open the door to let them say, okay, well, you've got a degree, now show me what you can do, okay? So you need to be really thinking about those financial skills, writing skills, presentation skills, all the different things that you can be doing to try to improve what you have to offer to everyone else. So always be thinking about that. Okay, then last couple of little things, and then I'll be out of here. In terms of schedule stuff, this one handout, which I've sent to you, this has a schedule of the classes over this next year, the times and the dates and the instructors, that sort of thing, so you've got that handy, and we don't expect this to change, okay? Then outside of that, I think I have pretty well covered everything I need to. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to pass around basically a sign-up sheet or sign-in sheet to let me know that you were here today. So we'll start with you, and then you can sort of pass it around to everybody. And after that, just put an X next to your name. Okay? Any questions? Yep.
What happened to the Styles scholarship?
No longer funded.
That started in the winter, right? I mean, stopped in the winter.
Yep. Anything else? Yep.
August 31st event, where is it?
Right here. It's going to be in the auditorium immediately adjacent to us, right out that door. And then also in the lobby area will be the reception. And it's business attire for that event. Okay.
For the volunteer, I'm one of the volunteers for that thing. Do we what dress type?
Yep. That, for the UOI Vision Awards, that is formal business dress, coat and tie, that sort of thing. Okay. Okay. Well, that was just part of the other handout of the Cuban trip. Okay. All right. Anybody else? Other questions? Enjoy the semester, and certainly feel welcome to get in touch with me if you need to. I know that probably wasn't the most enjoyable thing to have to sit through, but it was necessary.
Oh, you left.